you have big brands and all they're doing is waiting for someone to come to them.
If you do that, you will fail. Creators are not billboard. When you run a creator program, you're way closer to running an HR application.
Meet the influencers where they are, where they want to be. If you make it easy for them, they'll make it easy for you.
A lot of these like little details that you probably think don't matter are tremendously important.
Welcome to the Ready, Set, Click podcast, where we talk digital marketing strategies. Grab a coffee or something a little stronger and settle in for this episode.
Hello and welcome to the Ready, Set, Click podcast. I'm your host, Paul Kahn, and I'm joined by our co-CEO and co-founder, Kevin Cruzy. Welcome, Kevin.
Hey, hi, Paul. Nice to be here.
Well, you know what's in the air?
Christmas.
Christmas is in the air. It's everywhere. And today we're going to be talking about how brands can make sure that they really crush it this holiday season. So, Kevin, we have some numbers today.
So, listen, I want to talk to brands today because it's such a critical time of the year. Like most of their yearly profits is going to be done during that time, like Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
All right, but if we needed
5
to
days.
actually say like how critical.
Listen, in 5 days, brands generate at least what we can track on our website, 15% of their yearly sales.
Wow.
Yeah, in 5 days. So it's most of the profit for the year is going to be in these 5 days. Most of the volume is going to be in these 5 days. Most of the acquisition of new customers is going to be during these 5 days. And then this is going to reap rewards over many months afterwards.
Okay. So, and this is a super easy thing for everyone to do, right? To utilize creators to drive sales over this period. It's super easy. Everyone knows exactly what they should be doing.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And so I think my message here is I'm trying to figure out how I can talk to the brands because I see a lot of mistakes made.
Mm-hmm.
And I can talk to them, but sometimes I like the legitimacy around this because they're like, I prefer doing it another way. So I decided to ask creators that are part of our community. And we had about 2,000 replies to our survey.
2,000 replies to a survey. How many questions were in this survey?
There were 17 questions. So they really took the time. They
my
really
Lord.
want brands to know how to work with them. Like I can tell you this. Yeah.
That's 34,000 answers about how to best work with creators, everybody. And we're going to go through all 34,000 today.
Well, a lighter version of this,
Okay.
but yes. So the first, I'll start with the thing that I think brands get the most wrong, right? I wouldn't exist, and Upfluence wouldn't exist as a company if brands got it 100% right and had no need for tools. So,
Right, of course.
that I think I'm also happy that problems do exist and we can solve them. Now, that being said, the first thing I hear so many brands, especially larger brands, saying that they just get creators knocking on their doors and they work with the guys that knock and send them an email, right?
Okay, so you have big brands and all they're doing is they're waiting for someone to come to them.
Correct. If you do that,
Mm-hmm.
you will fail. And
Okay.
here's why. Out of 2,000 creators that answered our survey, 51% said they never look for partnerships. 51%, more than half, do not look for partnership, not through DMs, not through emails, just not.
So they never take the first step in generating the partnership.
Never. The brand is always initiating contact.
Okay.
Now, that's for half of the creators. On the other half, you have two types of creators. About a quarter, 24%, reach out to the brands through emails and DMs. So that's about a quarter of them. And then 25% say they use only, exclusively, dedicated application page for creators. And I can only speculate as to why that is, but I think because it shows a willingness for the brand to actually look for creators, so they're open for business, basically. And the second thing is it's easy. It's almost impossible to find the right point of contact in a larger organization, even in a smaller one. So this way, creators can guarantee they have the right point of contact. So please, guys, set up these landing pages, set up these outreach to creators, right? Make sure you get out there, you contact them, and don't wait for them to come to you.
Okay. So if I'm really setting this up, right, and I want to do it well, so we know that people are making mistakes, the first thing they need to have is that dedicated outreach page. And the second thing is the desire to actually reach out to creators directly.
Yeah, and I'll go into detail about a case study later on, but the volumes too need to be significant. Like you can't just contact 100 people and expect to have 100 partnerships, right? These guys are picky. They are very, very solicited. So you have to be very like volume heavy, but also very driven, and you need to angle your message. And that's a perfect transition to my second part of the survey, which is what do you need to offer creators for them to want to work with you, right? So we ask the creators, how do you like to be paid? So this has been a rift for years between brands and creators, right? Brands want to pay creators on results only. So whenever a sale is generated is the preferred model.
Mm-hmm.
While creators, they produce content, they lend their audience, authority, reputation, so they want to be paid upfront, right? That was always the divide between creators and brands. So I was actually somewhat floored by the results that we saw in the survey. When asked creators, like, what kind of options do you work with brand for payment options? They had 3 options: product, commissions on sales, and flat fee. More than half of all the creators said they would accept any form of payment as long as they knew and liked the brand.
Okay.
That's pretty interesting. Don't wait for creators to come to you. Be proactive. Give them a point of contact. Make and set up the infrastructure to make it easy for them to get in touch with you. So that's the first thing. Half of them willing to work for commissions, free product, flat fee, mostly smaller creators, obviously, but still. And then the preferred method still remains 34% flat fee and product. That's for the larger guys, for basically creators
But that's
that
a
have been established.
wild change over the last 5 years or so.
It's crazy. And it does, I think it shows also how good Instagram and TikTok are at pushing product now. And what I mean here is, like, if it didn't work, if creators never got paid out of these partnerships, they would not do them. But they know that while a little bit more risky, they actually do pay off. Right?
Well, and they
do
also
work.
get more of the high end of the potential value. Like if they have the content that does go viral, that does drive someone to the website and drives way more sales, the company pays that, and that's a uncapped commission in general.
Yeah, 100%. And as we talked about previously in previous episodes, like because of the algorithm-driven model that we have today, it's way more likely that a post could go viral. So you might end up, having a nice little payday.
You may end up with 1 million views one day, and all of a sudden there's a ton of sales.
Yeah,
and that happens one time, and you're going to be like, I like this. I want this more often. That's better than a flat fee.
And I think that's what's convincing the creators the most. Like a lot of them have experienced situations like this, so they're more willing to work with brands. So that's really something that was not the case before and is now changing completely. So we now know how to reach out to creators, and we know how to pay them, right? Or offer something, which is basically you have a lot of flexibility. The third thing we asked creators in a broad category was, what are the ways a brand can influence you to work with them? And what are the ways you're willing to meet the brand halfway when it comes to pricing? And the first thing is we flat out ask creators, like, hey, do you ever lower your prices with brands or accept to negotiate? 95% of them said yes.
95.
Yes.
So that first price is a negotiation position.
Only 5% said they have fixed price and never stir away from them. So I think that's because I've seen so many cases where I speak to a brand, it's at a little party or an event, networking stuff. People are like, I tried creative influencer marketing, but I had one guy contacted and he said he wanted $2,000, so I stopped, right? I think that's really the answer, right? The $2,000 is aspirational at this point, right? So you can negotiate. And so we also asked them, obviously, like, okay, so you're willing to negotiate, you're willing to compromise. What influences your decision? And they said that above everything else, and I'll be honest, like I thought the biggest thing for them would be how much they like the brand.
Right. I mean, that would make sense.
And it wasn't.
Okay. So, but that does matter, right? How much they like the brand.
It's the second most important.
Okay, second most important.
It's 38% of creators say that their affinity with the brand is the biggest contributor. But 58% of the people we asked actually said that the number one factor was long-term partnerships. And I find that so interesting because so many brands overlook this. And I'm sure some brands are listening right now and they've worked for July and August. They got the creators. They're lining them up for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, for big pushes at the last minute. And they will have nothing planned for January with them. They will have nothing planned for the rest of 2025. That will cost you.
Yeah.
It would be so much cheaper to negotiate a year-long agreement that includes Black Friday, Cyber Monday, with clauses of, results required, content posted, reliability. But still, if you do this, you are making their day. Creators are not billboards. When you run a creator program, you're way closer to running an HR application, program than you are from running an AdWord campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't scale the same way. You're dealing with human beings and you have to take their personal
what
circumstances
they want,
into
what
account.
they care about, and this makes sense if you think about it. Like in any industry, the longer the relationship you have with somebody, the more there's going to be give and take. There's going to be, and you're going to learn. You're going to see what types of products really play well with their followers, and you're going to see, hey, you're not working so well with this right over here. Maybe we can swap you over to there. And there's so many opportunities to optimize.
And at the end of the day, the creators, they got to pay for their rent, right? They got to pay for recurring costs that they have in their lives. And a lot of them have side jobs, almost all of them. Their aspiration is to become independent and to turn their hobby into a livelihood. And for this, you need less brands you work with, but more regular brands you work with.
Right. I mean, anyone who's been a freelancer knows the joy of having a year's worth of work in front of them.
During Christmas season.
During Christmas season. I mean, and for those of you who are thinking, well, how do I do this? Maybe, for a lot of different brands, you can do it based on important holidays. You can do it based on seasons. We know a lot of people.
So many events.
We know people who are doing Black Friday, Cyber Monday, straight into New Year's, straight into
Father's Day, Mother's Day, all of these. Yeah.
All of these things. And you can even have it so that your influencers can work on some of those, but not all. It can work really well.
Yeah. And so this is all the stuff that brands should do, right?
Oh, are we going to gossip now?
Yeah.
Are we going to talk about what brands shouldn't do?
Oh, yeah. And we even have little quotes.
Do we have quotes?
Oof.
Oh boy. I love it when the creators get to talk. So
yeah. So we ask the creators their biggest red flag when getting contacted by a brand.
Okay. So this is you do this, they're walking away. So what is it?
So I'll quote something, then I'll go. It's can you believe they asked me to buy the product I have to promote and won't even pay me for it?
No.
Yeah.
They're not.
That's number one.
Who are these people? Okay. I'm going to just take a moment here as a creative person. Sometimes creative people are taken advantage of. This is not fair. You do not ask someone to create content and not give them the product that is necessary to create that content.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest problem. And I have seen that. I mean, I had to go over every response individually, and I was pretty shocked as to how often that came up. That's awful. So it links straight into the second reason, or second biggest red flag, which I have a quote from a girl that says, "In the beauty industry, it is crazy how brands want to control my content, but don't want to pay for it." So it ties all down to creative control of the brands. So brands can be picky about content, right? And exactly how it's shot or done, and they ask for a bunch of edits. Sometimes brands can be incredibly unrealistic, even when they pay for the content. But very often, you give them a free product, and you expect that they're going to work for you for free for hours and hours and hours. No. This will not do. But even if you do pay the creators, understand that they know better how to talk to their audience. They just do, and that's it. They have built that community from the ground up. You just come in and pay for one post or one video, So and I have to say, I had so many conversations over the years with brands. A lot of I started in the luxury industry in Switzerland, and over there, watches, perfume, everything. They wanted everything super controlled. That doesn't work, right? It feels fake. It feels artificial. Doesn't feel authentic, and the creators know it and they hate it. So the third one, it's the lack of professionalism in the outreach. The grammar, like how the email, using a personal email address is like a red flag for them. So a lot of these like little details that you probably think don't matter are tremendously important. You're getting into a business relationship with somebody. You need to look like it, and they're going to have to trust you at some point. That trust is not owed; it's earned. You gotta earn it, right? So just be impeccable and irreproachable on every aspect of your outreach.
All right, so let's go over these. Let's go over these one more time. Your 3 red flags that if you're doing any of these 3 things, you're really going to create difficulties for yourself in getting influencers to want to work with you. So
the first one,
yeah,
you don't give them a product. You ask them to pay for it with their own money.
Awful.
The second one, you want to control all they say, the way they say it, but you don't really know how to talk to their community.
Catastrophic.
Third, you are not professional in your outreach. You use a personal email address. Your grammar is poor. Or you call them creator, influencer, or refer to the wrong Instagram handle.
Horrendous.
At the end of the day, every brand now is going to need network of creators to work with. So hopefully they can apply this methodology and get something done.
Okay, so we've talked about interesting stats. We've talked about red flags. Now I want to ask you for an example of a campaign where you believe that the people running it did it well. So, and I know you have some data on this.
I came with an example because I think it's just such a good concept. I had the chance in New York to work with Mercer Labs, and they describe themselves as being a ultra sensory experience exhibit in New York. So they have a bunch of like different interactive, somewhat mind-blowing kind of like things going on. It's very Instagrammable. But what I think they did perfectly right is we worked with them to leverage all the things I just talked about. The first one is we immediately set up 2 things. We set up an ambassador landing page that drove tremendous numbers of application from creators. So we didn't have to look for them too hard because they already came and loved us. So negotiation was easier. Second best practice we put in place. The second thing we did was we actually looked back at their database of newsletter subscribers and customers from the past, and we analyzed it to find out who were already creators. And we realized that they had hundreds of people that matched exactly who they wanted to bring in, but had already been in, just didn't post. So it was such a huge time saver. In total, using these methods plus a massive outreach to 8,000 creators, mostly micro creators, we got 600 pieces of content produced, about 2 million views. ROI was like 4x on the entire program. And I won't go into the detail, but we sold thousands and thousands of tickets for an exhibit that was basically unknown and is now killing it. And I would argue, like, I can't say it's just this because I'm sure they have other programs left and right, but having millions of people in New York City exposed to your incredible exhibit will definitely drive sales I cannot track and drive conversions and tickets I cannot track. So what I'm trying to say here is, like, these best practices are very hard to apply all at once, but if you apply them, like, when you can and as early as possible, it will make your life so much easier.
Okay, so just to sum up everything, meet the influencers where they are, where they want to be. If you make it easy for them, they'll make it easy for you. Treat them professionally. No.
So I want to wish all brands the best of luck. Hopefully what they heard today can help. And I wish them all the best for the holiday season. And remember, 2025 starts right now.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening today to the Ready, Set, Click podcast. Kevin, if anyone wants to see this data, where can they find it?
They can go on LinkedIn, type Kevin Cruzy, and that's me.
All right. Well, thank you all so much and have a very, very happy holidays.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ready, Set, Click podcast. Love this episode? Hit the subscribe button, give us a like, or leave a review. Until next time.